So, Jacob, what are your personal thoughts and feelings about social media and how the role it plays in your life? Like, what is your personal experience and all that opinion on that?
I would probably say it's been interesting because I was still a part of the generation that didn't grow up with a lot of electronics and social media and stuff like that. So we were still playing outside. We were still riding our bikes, skateboarding, stuff like that, instead of being on like TikTok and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to see how things have changed, especially seeing young kids grow up and like be a little bit different now with their time. And now people are spending more time on the inside. So, I mean, I would probably say it's definitely gone into a negative direction in that sort of way. But there's also some positives to it as well, because we're now more connected worldwide than we were when we didn't have this stuff called the World Wide Web and the internet, social media, different video platforms and stuff like that. So we can get news from around the world now 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is really interesting.
But can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Do you actually explore stuff from other places in the world, or do you mainly just
on
stay
occasion?
Okay.
On occasion, like especially if I'm doing research on some information for a video, or I'm doing some research and looking at statistics or articles about certain things that are across the pond.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, and then education stuff has been really interesting.
Yeah.
But me personally, I don't really go seeking that stuff unless I'm doing like research for something in particular.
So how do you personally use social media?
Not
with, or do you think of like promoting and podcasting and all that stuff every time you're on there?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
Every once in a while, like last night, I binged TikTok for about 2 or 3 hours. No, probably longer than that, because I went to bed around 9:30, 10.
9:30, and then
I think I decided to go to sleep and turn my phone off around 1 o'clock, I think. So on occasion, yeah, I will kind of go down a rabbit hole and look at different people that I follow and see what's interesting. But more oftentimes than not, I'm really focusing on content for TikToks, shorts, reels, different topics and ideas for the podcast. So that's actually mostly on the forefront of my mind when I'm on social media.
So you're basically, when you interact with social media on a daily basis, it's more to learn your tool.
Yeah.
And to figure out how to use it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you use it on a professional type look and level.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I wish I was back.
Tell me about your experience with social media.
I'm not going to lie. Social media, I have a tendency to become addicted to things. Or, well, yeah, I do. I mean, most people have some sort of addiction. It's just what they're addicted to. Unfortunately, it's not going to the gym for me.
or me.
Want to change that. Working on it. But I noticed that it messes with my brain a little bit, and it is very addictive for me.
Right.
Especially when I'm feeling exhausted and I want to check out and I don't want to deal with my feelings.
Or what's going on at that time in our lives. Or like drama, or,
yeah,
and family, people getting sick.
And stress, kind of right? So it has kind of become... It has in the past. It became a unhealthy coping mechanism for stress.
Okay.
And by that, I mean, there were a few weekends when I was in the thick of it with my previous employer, like just dealing with stuff where I would literally only get out of bed to go to the bathroom. And then I would just lay in bed and watch TikToks. or
Okay.
scroll on social media or do YouTube, like Facebook, or like I would just switch through all of them. And that was so unhealthy. But it's like, that's all I could bring myself to do. And it like,
oh, gotcha.
turned into like doom scrolling. And then like the algorithm started getting really weird and funky. And I was just like, so
what's doom scrolling? Explain what that is.
so
to our
doom
audience.
scrolling is where like the algorithms are feeding you like a bunch of like clips or content that feeds like your biases and your fears, and
like the negative side of
so
your
it
brain.
creates like the anxiousness, fear, all that sort of stuff.
Oh,
But
okay.
those okay, you guys, emotions are addictive, just like anything else. Like you can become so addicted to a certain emotion that that's the state you want to live in. And there's people who are addicted to victimhood and depression. There are people who are addicted to anger. They're, you know, like, because whatever motivates, whatever.
Or violence.
Well, yeah, violence isn't an emotion.
Well, I mean, like having an addiction to violence, like scrolling through different TikToks and clips and shorts and Insta.
Well, and you just go through. It's like porn is an addiction, right? Like that.
Yeah, for sure.
That can be really bad. But so my relationship got really unhealthy for a minute, for a while, when I was going through a lot of stuff, and that impacted our relationship.
Right.
Like we both were just like, we felt like roommates. We were kind of apathetic. But there was a lot of other stuff. I mean, that was all part of that.
Right.
But there are some other things like I've been able to connect to that bring me a lot of joy, right? So like I have been able to follow some like hiking things on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and
Farm
even
animals.
TikToks. Oh my gosh, farm animals, you guys.
You love the farm animal stuff.
Oh my gosh. I love all the farms. I follow like all these farms and animal rescues and watching the cow finally being able to touch the grass for the first time and how it just leaps up. I mean, like, those are the type of dopamine hits that I need, right? Sometimes. And I guess I don't need them, but like it's something that brings me joy and helps kind of get me out of those downer moments. You know?
Right.
It's like, at least if I'm gonna numb out, I'm gonna numb out on happy stuff. Yeah. But stuff that doesn't.
Conspiracy theories and things that kind of take you down weird rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But doom scrolling is like that. So it's like films or clips that feed into like conspiracy theories and all that stuff. Anyway, it's crazy. So it has its happy moments as well, but like.
Right.
What it inspires me to do is like it inspires me to do some goal setting, right? Like social media can help me with goal setting and creating a vision for my future. Like seeing all these places I would want to travel and experience in person, and hikes I want to do and all that sort of stuff. And like even healthy food ideas, right? For for sure, having a healthier diet and stuff. So there's like so many positives.
There are,
but it just depends. If I'm not checking my personal relationship with myself, social media can take me down rabbit holes that are not bueno.
Right.
Or it can distract me from real life too. Like,
yeah.
So,
and sometimes that can be a good thing as long as you monitor and like decide how long it's going to take for you to kind of get that little bit of an escape or a little bit of a break, so you can compartmentalize, the stressors and the things that are depressing you and stuff like that. And then once you've like, okay, I've spent enough time, now I can actually attack those things and actually, get through the stuff that's been going on.
Yeah, but that's social media, man. It's like you sit there and scroll through a few TikToks, and next thing you know, you've done it for like freaking 2 hours, and you're like, what the crap?
Yeah.
So like that can be hard too, even if it's all good, happy stuff, right?
Yeah, true.
And what I think sometimes is if I had kids, would I be as engrossed in social media as I am? And I don't think I would.
That's a good question.
I literally think that it's one of those habits that have just snuck in because I needed something to fill my time, because I didn't have kids that I had to run to school or to music lessons or to sports or
karate.
karate.
Some jujitsu.
Such a dork. You know, like I'm not a soccer mom. And then I sit and think, like, how much am I actually, like, am I learning stuff? And, you know, there are some really good, like, business videos and, like, self-discipline. And there's a bunch of really good content on there.
Right.
That you can, it makes it much easier to consume.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than sitting and reading a book. Sometimes, like, because I am not a fast reader. I would like to be, but I'm
a very fast reader, but I don't comprehend and retain a lot.
See, and that's the thing. I can comprehend and retain, but it's slow.
Yeah, that's why audiobooks and like
I
podcasts
love
and
audio.
stuff is just so much better for my ADD brain, for sure.
Well, even on Audible, like, if I get too engrossed in a task, I start, like, checking out of an audiobook too. So it's crazy.
Right. So let's discuss a little bit how social media affects communication, trust, and jealousy in relationships. Or any of those things, because that's a huge deal. I guess one thing that comes to my mind is how you can easily create mistrust, especially if the only things you're looking at are like handsome men or beautiful women. If that's all your feed is, that's all the things that people that you follow, that could definitely get to the point where that can cause some trust issues, some jealousy, and things like that. Yeah.
Well, and I will be honest with you, like, I don't check your feed very often. Because I trust you.
How about this interesting Forbes.com article, which I thought was fun?
Yeah, I just pulled that up. So, like, it just goes 6 ways social media affects our mental health. And what's so interesting is, like, I think it's becoming much more prevalent and much more aware because, like, even where we live in Utah County in Utah, just even up by in Weber County, I saw the same billboard, but there's billboards,
a ton of them.
Yeah, that say social media is harmful, with a picture of a youth, like a silhouette of a youth looking at a screen. And it's true. I mean, unaliving attempts and unaliving has gone up drastically, especially in our youth. This Forbes article was pretty cool. I thought it summed up kind of what we're having to navigate as a human race with social media, right? So
and they just named the negatives. So the negative parts are just the ones from the from that particular site.
So like, of course, we all know it's addictive, right? That's the other thing is I noticed I have to be careful with it because I do start getting I'm more irritable if I've spent too much time on my phone or in front of a screen,
right?
And stuff.
And just like myself, like if I play video games that are very intensive and very competitive, I get very upset when you break my focus on that, which is really interesting. Yeah. Oh, and I get irritable,
dude. I remember when we first got married and you were playing freaking League of Legends. I was like,
I missed that game.
But you became really hard. And we were first married, and I was like, dude, if this is what it's going to be like to be married to him, I don't know.
Well, just for some context, at that time, I was working towards becoming a game streamer. I was averaging between like 30 and 50 viewers. Like at that point, like if the affiliate program was there, I'm sure there would have been people like subscribed to my channel and everything. And I was growing, and unfortunately became a pain point and a boundary. It became triggering for Reanne, because of, we'll talk a little bit about that later. But yeah, like unfortunately, video games, social media, entertainment, it's all made to be addictive and to continually have you watching it for as long as possible. That's why there's like different advertisements like slipped in there. They call it product placement. But yeah, like, and one of the other thing that's really bad about social media is that it can trigger more sadness rather than well-being. Like, even though there's positive stuff on it, yeah, a lot of times it just, if you're upset and you're sad and that's all the stuff you're looking up, like that could continue to perpetuate that sadness, that depression and things like that.
Well, and this is where I kind of worry that social media might like it maybe hardwires things a little bit quicker than it would have been otherwise, and that's the thing. And because algorithms are designed to go off of what you stay focused on, and if you're focused on doom for a minute because of what you're experiencing, it's just going to feed you more and more and more and more and more.
Right. Doom and gloom.
Right. When I wasn't on social media, even if I was watching happy stuff, if it was too much, I would feel really anxious just in real life. So it even like caused me to feel more sad and disconnected because it felt foreign. Like, that's weird when real life feels foreign to you.
Yeah, for sure.
But I was in a weird spot, y'all. It was a weird spot. It's true. And like the other thing is because even if you are looking at happy stuff, it's like I look at all these farms and these cool barn dominiums and all these ranches that I want. And if I'm not careful, I can be like,
it could turn dream building into jealousy.
You're never gonna get that. You're not like that. Right. You know how much money like, so it can trigger thoughts of comparison, envy, comparing our lives. The other one says comparing our lives to others is mentally unhealthy. Yep. And that's true. The comparison and jealousy thing
could make you delusional and think that social media is actually helping you when it's not.
Oh yeah,
it could actually give you the opposite feeling of like, oh yeah, I'm consuming these things, it's helping me.
So can I tell you what's so funny is like,
what's so funny?
TikTok will feed me all this ADHD. Like, you may have undiagnosed ADHD, blah, blah, blah.
Undiagnosed BDP.
And I'm like sitting here thinking like, are you trying to program me and tell me that I have ADHD or ADD? And I feel like that's kind of what it does. It programs you to think a certain way about yourself and you don't recognize it because it's all kind of subliminal.
Right.
So
right. It's not on your mind, but it is being played and it's like getting deeply rooted into your subconscious. What's really interesting is they call it social media or social, whatever they call it. And they call your online followers friends. And then they also have a thing called like. So they might really like your stuff if they hit the like button. And it doesn't really equate to, real life sociability and socialization with other individuals and people. And those are definitely the negatives. And that's something that was really interesting about that Forbes article. But there are also positives to social media. And I think just like the internet, it's a two-edged sword. There's a lot of great things and good things on it. Like it perpetuates businesses, sports and entertainment and STEM and all these wonderful things. But then it also can be very detrimental, especially to children. But I do, like we were saying before, the global connection to the world is actually really cool. Being able to know what's going on, in different places that you wouldn't normally, look after. One of the things that's actually really interesting, and it's unfortunately, Facebook is kind of going downhill. But it used to be a place where you could see friends and family that you have lost touch with and communicate more with pictures and videos of like kids growing up, what's going on new in your life, and just like having that as a place to blog about what's new in your life so family members can stay up to date.
I have a good example of that. So, like, my mom has 4 siblings, and they all have kids. We're all we're all grown and have our own families now, and we don't really interact a lot. Like, it's not like we interacted a ton as a family like that when I was younger, because we all lived and we were all kind of spread out over the Wasatch Front and even down south.
Right.
But social media allowed us all to kind of connect again. And now that we've kind of connected and we're tired of just meeting each other at funerals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's be intentional. And so now every year we do a girl cousins get together. We don't let the boys come.
Aw.
We should do an all family. We should, like, maybe every other year or whatever. But it's cool because, like, we get together as the matriarchy of the Johnson clan, and we all get together and, like, spend time together. It's really fun.
Oh, okay.
So, like, social media helped with that, right?
Right.
We
yeah.
stayed connected. We planned the whole thing over social media. It wasn't that hard to do because it allowed us to connect that way and plan for a girls' weekend, and we could go. And so, like, that I'm super grateful for because it helps me maintain that connection.
Right. Yeah, so there is a lot of, positive things with social media.
I do like the STEM stuff. I do like the education piece, like the YouTube shorts that are fun and educational. Oh, boy, I love me a really awesome infographic. Like, I love infographics.
I like finding new comedy, bits and comedians. That's always fun.
Yeah, infographics are sexy. I like those. I wish I saw more of those. They don't really do them as much anymore.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. I haven't seen a ton.
Huh.
Maybe now that I'm talking about it, though, my microphone will pick it up and actually
get more on your
put more on my feed.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how creepy that is, though?
Oh, gosh, it is really creepy.
Like, this whole AI thing, like...
Everything's now, all the smart devices are constantly listening.
Oh, yeah. We have no privacy. We legit have no privacy.
Sketchy.
The only way we would have privacy is if we went completely off grid, and even then, like, I'm sure, I don't know.
Oh, what was that one movie with Tom Hanks and was it Emma Watson? It was like The Red Circle or something like that, where it like
The Circle,
where it kind of plays through.
So creepy.
Yeah, where it plays through the possibility
they can vote through social media. I'm like, no.
And they're like, hey, let's track down her ex. And it's just like, and then they basically berated him until he like got hurt or something like that, or he died or something.
I don't know.
It's been a minute since I've seen it, but it was a very interesting example of, how much security, versus privacy. That's always like a pretty big debate. And so to kind of see that played out on the big screen, it like really makes you think. And I love movies like that. That makes me wonder and think.
We really enjoy like movies that pose social dilemmas, right? Like
including The Social Dilemma.
Netflix
series.
Well, this kind of actually is a good segue into our next thing, is the entertainment and everything, right? So like, I love movies and documentaries. You didn't really watch a lot of documentaries until you married me, did you?
Yes, that is correct. I did not watch too many documentaries until I got married to you.
And now you like them.
Now I love them. Yeah.
You love them.
I do. I love them. I do. I think they're amazing now.
So,
as long as they're not too, politically driven.
But we've watched a lot of political documentaries, and we've watched both sides. Yeah. We may not agree with one
or the other. There's some things I don't agree with on the right. So.
Well, and here's the thing. It's like, because we're more centrist than anything. It's like we're not black and white thinkers.
No, we're not, because we know that they're, depending on the topic, there could be good and bad.
Yeah, we have an open mindset. But I do remember, like, my religious leaders when I was young saying, be careful of the media you consume because it will influence your mind and stuff.
Right.
And then I remember there was like this controversy over Disney and some of their animated films that they had put out, and like how there was naughty stuff in them, like
Right.
sex was spelled out in the clouds in The Lion King, and like Aladdin whispers, "Take off your clothes" to Jasmine, and like so. I remember
and the Little Mermaid, like the person that was overseeing the wedding, he had like a boner. Or
yeah. The priest had a boner, and then like on the cover, the castle basically had phalluses.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that was
so
such a
like
big deal.
I remember because you know what, I had a group date where we pulled out all of my Disney VHSs and found all the dirty spots. Like that was literally our date for the night. That's what we did.
That's funny. Yeah, I remember going through those videos and like, really, are these in here? Let's check them out.
Yeah. So
And
anyway,
I'm sure if we had records, we would actually play them backwards, like from the Beatles
to see if
and
there
stuff
was
like
hidden
that.
messages and stuff, because there
Yeah.
was like heavy metal music played backwards says worship Satan. So like we still, even though like we didn't have social media, we still were being told that like the media you consume affects your brain and
Right.
how
And
you.
it does.
It does.
There are studies out there that do say that it does affect your brain.
Anyway, and it's addictive and all that stuff. So like, but what's interesting now, I think, is so funny.
Yeah.
Not funny, but it's like
Ironic?
yeah, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word.
Serendipitous?
But like as we go back and rewatch some of these old sitcoms
Right.
and stuff, we see how like there was definitely an agenda that was being pushed.
Oh, yeah.
And we're aware of it now because it's obvious. It's like ridiculously obvious in so many things
Right.
of the agenda or narrative that is being pushed. But, and I'm not saying whether I agree or don't agree with it or whatever, but like it's interesting to go back and see how it's been that way for
a while.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
a
going
long
back
time.
and rewatching Scrubs again and seeing how political they got with a lot of their writing. I'm just like, wow.
Which do you think has more of an impact, to read the physical words or watch the video, watch the
Same
like a
play
video?
out like on a TV show
Yeah.
or a movie. TV show or movie.
See, for me, like I love to read because it triggers my imagination like crazy.
I think that's
to create my own visual.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of these younger generations are kind of missing that. Like when you read words, your mind will create a visual to go off of. And I think it's because my mom was like, you have to read. Like she was like, you have to read. And it like, my oppositional defiance disorder kind of came out, and I was like, no, you can't tell me what to do. And
I was the exact opposite. I loved reading because I loved being able to build my own worlds in like people and like scenes and stuff in my brain.
See, and you're so creative now.
And like that's a pretty big thing for me. So when I was younger, I read all the time. I read so many books when I was younger.
That's what I'm saying. So like you read a lot in that young, like when your brain was developing and stuff. And I think that really helped establish a good sense of creativity for you.
For sure. Yeah.
And like that imagination and everything. I didn't read a lot as a kid because there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
I mean, on multiple levels and, anyway. But I read what I had to for school and stuff. That's one reason why I don't think I'm a very fast reader too. But I love reading now. I love it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like I can't take the time to do it because I'm a slow reader. And I have to I have to take a good chunk of time to even like dive in, right? And it's not as easy for me to do that. And so I'll just sit on social media and do stupid stuff. But they do say that the most successful people in the world are readers, right? Like
yeah.
Reading is a big deal for a lot of people. And I'm like, okay, do what the successful people do, read more. So
yeah. But like for taking time out and actually sitting down and reading, I can't do it. Like, well, I mean, that's not
you can.
correct.
We just don't.
I just choose not to because there's other things I would rather do than sit down and read. I would I would rather listen to books or podcasts while I'm working. And then when I get home, then I can focus on, other stuff like podcasting and like editing and like TikToks, putting up TikToks and shorts and stuff like that.
That is true. I actually really love podcasts and I like consuming information that way.
Yeah.
Especially the long form podcasts.
Oh, they're so interesting. Like I kind of see film and TV and video games nowadays as our latter-day Colosseums and our latter-day gladiators. Like the entertainment from like the Roman times was there to distract the masses. And I kind of feel like now that I'm getting older and I'm kind of seeing through the cracks and seeing through a lot of these things, I kind of feel like what's going on is that all these things are to distract us from what's really going on and what really makes us happy.
Well, so that's a big thing. I feel like that's one thing I learned is I felt like I was being programmed when I watched the social media for like a whole weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that caused the anxiety is because it was like my brain's like, hello, wake up, you're being programmed.
But even technology is getting in our way now, where like it's now becoming a barrier. So like we were talking about, just a little bit ago, where people would rather film something that's violent or dangerous going on in a situation instead of,
doing
taking
it for
action
the clicks
or like calling for help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're doing it for entertainment now.
Like there was a story of a woman who got raped on the subway in New York and people just sat and filmed it and did it live on social media rather than step in and actually stop it from happening. Yeah, they sat and filmed it and that's how they got the guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? And I remember
somebody could have stepped in. I'm not saying like it's, anybody's job to do it, but, talking about, what a man does, like a man stops that kind of stuff when they see it.
Yeah.
A good man would.
Well, and then like I remember seeing during 2020 riots and stuff, two like a young 13 and 14-year-old girl tried to carjack a guy and they like threw him out and like he was trying to get back in. Like the whole scene played out and they like crushed him with the car. They ended up crushing him.
Oh my gosh.
With the car. And I remember it being so traumatizing, but it was nowhere on mainstream media or anything. But I saw that on social media. It freaked me out. But like, I'm like, who are these people that were filming it?
Mm-hmm.
And like the other thing is like there used to be some control over the graphic things that you were exposed to.
Right.
And now it's just like everywhere.
Right.
Like, I think the most graphic thing I saw growing up was like freaking National Geographic with my grandpa and like a lion eating something or catching something. And
yeah.
But now it's like people, you can see people dying.
Yeah.
Or like,
there used to be
like
websites
real
dedicated.
people.
Yeah. There used to be websites dedicated.
Yeah. It's like, not a movie.
Yeah.
They're not going to get up and walk off as soon as the camera, like that sort of stuff kind of freaks me out. And I'm like, how are people filming this? And why are they filming it rather than, I don't know. It's weird.
Well, and also what's really interesting is that our brains are very interesting because have you ever had a very intense dream and you thought you were going to die?
Yeah.
And you woke up like all of a sudden?
Oh.
Like that's your brain telling you, oh my gosh, we're going to die, do something. And what's really interesting is even if we're witnessing it in person, like we're seeing a violent act happening, or we're seeing it on the TV, we're seeing it in the news, we're seeing it from a website, we're seeing it in a film or a movie, our brains in the moment don't really understand the difference. Mm. And so the only way that we can go, okay, how can I understand the difference between what's happening in a film or a movie, or what's happening in real life, is how we dictate that in our conscious mind. When you're consuming that, we're desensitizing ourselves to those kinds of things, those violent acts, the overtly sexual acts that are going on television, stuff like that. It's no wonder that we're struggling so much with the things that are being put in film, in movies, in books, and especially pornography, very readily accessible online. Not so much now in Utah, because Utah was like, we're going to make sure that you check the age of people. And they basically did a big double-barreled family-friendly finger at them and basically said, all right, we'll block all of our sites from Utah.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of
funny. You won't
funny.
allow us to just hand it out willy-nilly to the minors? Fine. Then we're not going to do it. Like, tell me what your agenda is without telling me what your agenda is.
Exactly, right?
The whole, like, exposure to children, getting them hooked early, just...
Oh, we're not trying to do that.
Anyway.
Right. Anyways.
And I'm not a freaking prude, people.
No, we are not prudes.
But when it comes to kids, like...
We want to protect them at all costs.
Seriously, you're a child for like this much of your life. This much. Let them be kids. Gosh, dang it. Anyway, sorry.
Stop giving them homework. Go kick a kick a football. Go kick a soccer ball. Throw a baseball. Catch a
Fumble
football.
a football. No, I don't know. Anyway,
get on the jungle gym.
So
hit the slides.
But what's interesting, so this mass consumption, we have access to things. Everything is at your fingertips and everything, and the whole like binging is not good. Like I talked about how I would sit and spend an entire weekend in bed.
Just watching episodes over and over, like
watching or watching TikToks or streaming or like but binging, right? Like I'd get through like 2 seasons of like Outlander in a weekend, because you know what I mean. That's not healthy either.
That Jamie Fraser, man, I tell you what.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
It's very handsome.
Sam Hagen, I love you.
Sam Hagen.
But like, here's the thing. Like, I remember sexualized content, not really being aware of it as a kid, but it's like I'm really aware of it now.
Yeah.
So like, I didn't really think about it as a child, but like everything is so sexualized.
Even in kids' cartoons that are supposed to be for kids like 4 to 6, 4 to 8.
Well, and it's like, so we went and saw Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Well, this is an adult film.
It is an adult film.
Well, not like, an adult film, but it is targeted at adults. It's a rated R movie. I should just
it's
clarify.
Rated R because the content is heavy. It's heavy. The thought of like developing a weapon that could
potentially
the
end
Earth.
the world. Like that was one thing I was really interested in, is that they actually believed that there was a theory that they could ignite the atmosphere and literally like burn like everybody to death, like just end life on Earth.
Like that was a possibility.
Yeah.
It wasn't a 0% chance that could happen.
Yeah. And when they were talking about that was just nuts.
Crazy. But in this film, like the content itself was just like, it was a lot and it was heavy. But for some reason, they threw 2 scenes in there that were like complete nudity. And
they didn't add to the story.
And I'm like, how does this, like, and how do they have to, like, I sit here and think, like, how do they know that this is what happened? They don't, because like the people are dead, and like this is a very personal. I don't think they would put that
license. A lot of creative license
on that. And I'm like, seriously, you have to have a girl's titties hanging out there in order for the, like, to me it was unnecessary, and it actually took away from the movie itself.
Yeah,
because it was like, what the
it's
crap
like,
is
why?
This? Why?
And
it was really awkward because I was sitting to a complete stranger right next to me, and I was like, why am I looking at another person's boobies with a stranger sitting? It's weird.
Yeah.
And so
it is. It's like, very strange. It's very strange.
Yeah. And it wasn't like it was, I don't know. It drove me insane.
Yeah.
But I do have to say the acting in that was top notch.
Other than
Emily
that,
Emily Blunt did a great job.
Kind of felt like a love story to communism. I mean, there's a lot of really cool, like the story itself wasn't terrible, It wasn't. There's just a few things where just kind of like, why?
But it kind of makes you wonder, like, why everything is so sexualized all the time, especially for even in young kids.
Why? And why are these parents bringing these young kids to these rated R movies? Like, why?
Well, yeah. But, like, the other thing is
not to be judgmental, but we just ask why.
Like, the sexual innuendos, even in children's movies or family movies and stuff, like, are they necessary? Yeah, they're kind of funny and jokey or fun. But, like, I just...
Like, Shrek was pretty bad.
It's funny, though. I love Shrek. But is what I'm saying is, like, it's just, you have to be aware of, like, any entertainment. It's not even just social media, but, like...
Yeah, everything.
Streaming services and just it all influences and it all has an impact.
Yeah.
And
they don't necessarily have to have a rating on like TV shows and stuff that they produce themselves.
Yeah.
Like everything on HBO that's like produced by themselves.
Oh, it's pretty.
They don't have ratings on those.
Well, yeah, because it's a cable channel.
Exactly. So they don't have to follow the rules of the whatever association. I forget.
FCC.
Yeah, FCC.
Anyway, so it's interesting. My relationship with media and entertainment has come with a much more discerning eye.
Yeah.
And that's also how I am looking at any social media and everything, because it's like, okay, here's a bunch of political crap. And even with AI, you don't even know what's real and stuff anymore. So you kind of have to just, not going to look at that, not going to feed into that, all that sort of stuff. But
right.
I don't know. Even going back and watching some of those older shows and everything, I'm like, okay, it's all good.
And maybe and now that we are older and that we've, gone through the process of like deciding what exactly we feel is good to consume for us, we're actually much more selective on our films and TV shows nowadays.
Yeah.
And we do, like, even though we do find ourselves falling into, that addictive, repetitive cycle of like, cycling through clips and, TikToks and stuff like that, we have to go, man, I really put a lot of time in that yesterday. I really do need to watch that. Like, we're actually more conscious of it now because we've watched stuff like The Social Dilemma and watching different podcasts. Listening to different podcasts and watching different personalities talk about these different things. And strikingly, how people that are a part of these different social media companies don't allow their significant other, their kids, their family and friends, they vehemently say, do not be on this, which is really
Steve
interesting.
Jobs even limited the screen time for his children because he knew.
Yeah.
And he was the one who was pushing the whole technology.
Yeah.
Right? And then like Joe Rogan even says he doesn't get on social media. Like, he gets on Instagram and stuff every once in a while, but he doesn't necessarily feed into comments or anything. Like, he'll post every once in a while, but it's not like he gets into the weeds of the comments and stuff, which is very good, because if you're a public figure, I remember just reading some of the comments on some of our podcasts from the Periodic Review and stuff, and I was like, dang, people, come on.
People like to poke, they like to prod, they like to troll, they want to say the wrong thing to get a rise out of people, which is really sad. Yeah. We
know that social media actually has some positives and it's good and everything. So, like, we're going to talk a little bit about what it looks like to have a healthy relationship with social media. Okay. Like, what does a healthy relationship look like that? Because there are things that, like, when we consume it, it can traumatize us. Like, I think about
for sure.
When you watched Outlander.
Oh, yeah. That scene at the end of season 2? Season
1 or 2. Yeah. Like, you were legit traumatized by that.
I had not seen a scene like that in anything. So, and coming from somebody who had very limited viewing of things growing up, especially, sexual graping, dude on dude.
Yeah.
And manipulation and stuff like that. It was, yeah, it was quite.
It was interesting. You had to process a lot with
Yeah.
that. So like that's not always healthy, right? Like watching things that continually traumatize us or whatever,
Yeah.
that can be unhealthy, but there is also healthy stuff. So let's talk about what that looks like, and at least for us, because we can't speak to anybody else's experience.
We can only speak to ours, right?
And what we have found that works for us, like when we're feeling like it might be heading towards the unhealthy.
Right,
side.
right.
Right. So we want to keep it on the healthy side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Healthy side.
So, like for me, because I talked a little bit about my experience where I was spending the entire weekend in bed watching TikToks.
Yeah.
It led pretty much all my relationships to be unhealthy. With myself, with you, it was unhealthy. And with social media, it was unhealthy because I was obviously consuming way too much of it.
Right, right.
And stuff. And so what I had to do is take it off. Well, I took some off of my phone, not all of them, but I did take TikTok off of my phone for a while for a reset. And then I started watching shorts on YouTube. And then I was like, oh yeah, TikToks were so good. And then you know what I mean? So it was stupid. It was stupid.
That's how I feel when people get off like heroin and stuff like that, and they get off of painkillers and stuff, but they go on what's it called, meloxidone or whatever, the synthetic methadone. But it's literally the same thing.
It's just a lighter dose. Yeah.
It's just a different.
But the difference is, if you come off of those too hard, it will kill you. If you don't
Same
come
thing
off
with
of
alcohol.
Well,
oh my
yeah,
goodness, I
alcohol
didn't
for
realize that. But if somebody has been constantly consuming alcohol and they just quit cold turkey, they could literally die.
Yeah. So get this, because all alcohol is in your system is sugar. All heroin is in your system is sugar.
Mm-hmm.
It literally activates the same part of your brain. And in fact, when people are coming down off of, like, if they don't get their fix,
mm-hmm.
they want sugar. They crave sugar and eat sugar.
Yeah.
And that's how they treat it, is because your body is like coming down too far, too fast. So they give them sugar to help with the immediate. So sugar is very addictive, y'all.
So Mythbusters actually did something when it came to using the phone. This is before social media. They did an experiment on individuals to see if, what they would just take them to the limit of being inebriated, and then they would test their driving ability, and then they would have somebody have a full-on conversation with somebody on the phone and have them run the same course to see if it was similar, and it was, which I thought was really interesting.
So the phone?
Yeah, so somebody just talking on the phone. But now we have video, we have audio, we have TikToks, we have shorts, we have all these different things, text messaging. So now it's like, becoming more and more like illegal in different states where you're not allowed to even have your phone up at all. Like you could have it mounted, you can have it in your pocket, you can have it on your console, whatever.
Yeah, you would know about that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Somebody got a ticket for that, didn't they?
I don't know what you're talking about. I did. And so it's very, very similar, like addiction and the way your chemistry works in your brain and stuff like that. But it's very, very similar when you go from, drugs to, different things on your phone and stuff. It's very similar. It's not exactly the same, but it is similar, which is very, very fascinating. But what are some tips or advice that you would give people for maintaining healthy relationships in our current digital age?
Me personally, or are you asking the audience?
I'm asking everybody.
Oh, well, me personally, I would say delete the apps off your phone.
If it's that big of a deal, like where it's like such a bad
honestly,
temptation
if you're in an unhealthy place with it, like when you're spending more hours a day on your freaking apps than you are with like in the real world in your waking hours, like delete it off your phone for like at least a week or more. for 30 days if possible.
Because that would be a really good cleanse. Like if you could do it for 30 days.
Yeah.
Spend more time with family.
Yeah.
Spend more time in nature. Oh my goodness. Even like taking your shoes off.
And just standing on the freaking grass.
In grass.
Yes.
Like at a park, at a school.
We don't get grounded enough. Like,
no,
I think,
we don't.
And with like all the other, like with your 5G and your radio waves and everything that is out there now, like our bodies are so stimulated by that. So like when we walk on the grass and barefoot, or the dirt and allow our bodies to make that physical contact with the earth, it helps. It helps with that. There's actually like this cool thing that I want to do. Like there's a guy who actually took a copper grounding rod and stuck it in the ground outside of his bedroom window, and then ran a wire in and covered it with like metallic duct tape to his mattress, and it helped with the negative charge in his body, and he was able to like heal massive joint pains and all that sort of stuff. There's a documentary out. Like we should put a link to it because it was awesome. Grounding is so important, especially like, so for every minute you spend on social media, go put your feet in the grass or something. You know what I mean? Do something to counteract it.
Do like a 50-50. And like you would really see where your time is being spent.
Right.
Keep a log, I think, like for a while, like for a week.
Your phones do that. If you have I know iPhones do.
iPhones will let you know your screen time.
Let me check my
screen time. Let's see.
I don't know if I want to.
Where do you find it at? Is it under settings?
No, I have it on my it was under settings. Under screen time. It's literally under screen time.
Settings, screen time?
Uh-huh.
Turn on screen time, weekly report. And so, you got to turn it on.
Yeah, I have mine on.
Oh, turn on screen time. This is my iPhone.
Oh,
all right, I just turned mine on.
Oh my gosh. So it says I've spent 3 hours and 23 minutes on entertainment and 2 hours and 34 minutes on social media today.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if that's accurate. Because you know how sometimes I fall asleep with my phone on?
Oh,
like I put my headphones on. So
you do that quite often.
So I have a husband who snores.
I do.
No big deal. He also
I'm a bear.
He thrashes. No big deal.
Yeah, I fight monsters in my dreams.
I find
I am an absolute like warrior paladin, like in my dreams. Like I really am.
You're my warrior.
Oh,
okay. But so I wear headphones at night, and I will put on like there's all these things on YouTube for like 8-hour meditations and all that stuff. So I get a playlist set up, so I'm like listening to a clip or something, and then I have it cued that like I am grateful type.
Yeah, but also stuff. I don't know how healthy it is of that shining in your face while you're.
I don't shine it. I have black screen on my thing. I turn on, but it's still playing. So I wonder if that counts.
I wonder. I don't know.
Because it counts because the app is still active and playing, and so I think that affects my screen time.
Yeah.
But it's really like a meditation.
Yeah.
It's all very nice.
Yeah.
That's another tip
walks.
I have. That's another tip I have is actually take time to meditate. Learn how to calm your mind and get in tune with your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like all the screens and lights disrupt that visually, and then just the constant feed and everything. So meditation, like practice meditation. To help combat and keep your relationship with social media healthy.
Yeah.
Those are my tips and tricks.
I think prayer is good. Like if you're religious or believe in something greater than self. I think prayer is really good. I do that honestly, I think I talk to God at least once a day, maybe twice a day. Not in like a, go to your dark places and your closets and get on your knees and fold your arms kind of a thing. But I feel like I connect with God at least once a day. Just say, hey, I saw what you did there. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. or hey, I'm really struggling today. I could really use, a helping hand, and things I can't control, and just kind of leave that up to the great unknown.
Yeah, you know what is really helpful for me to maintain a healthy relationship with social media? Because I get on there and I start doing that comparison game, and I start like comparing myself to people, and like
morning routine.
Morning routine is good. Let me finish my thought, yo.
Sorry, go ahead.
I do a gratitude list. I do a gratitude list because it helps me keep connected to what I'm grateful for in my life, so that I'm comparing, like I'm constantly aware of what I have to be grateful for, and not what social media
saying that you should have
or compare myself to, right? So like that attitude of gratitude, and that's just, that is an amazing tool for all relationships, especially the relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
But that habit helps with that, keep that relationship with social media healthy for me in that respect specifically. And it helps me keep my eye on those like comparison stuff as something to work towards, not to compare myself to.
Yeah. And definitely focus on your loved ones and the things that really truly make you happy.
Yeah, because if I'm grateful for them, I'm going to make time to spend more time with them.
Yeah, because boats are great. But in the end, is it really truly going to make you happy? Maybe making a memory with your loved ones, or maybe taking your wife on a really cool drive through the canyon and going seeing like cool monuments and state park stuff, or visiting or going bowling. Like I was thinking we should go bowling at some time.
We haven't gone bowling in a long time.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure your shoes are getting dusty.
I do have my own bowling shoes.
She has her own bowling shoes.
They're purple and pearl.
They're actually super cute. I'm not gonna lie. But like making memories with your loved ones and your close friends and family is like such a huge thing that will help you to ground yourself and actually help you to focus not so much on yourself but on others. Because I think thinking of us as human beings, I think a lot of times we really kind of go towards the narcissistic like self of being self-involved and be like, oh, well, it's all about me. But
social media actually has perpetuated that quite a bit.
Yeah.
We see that in society. And I notice that I do notice that when I am on social media a lot, those narcissistic, intrusive, like it's all about me thoughts become a little bit more prevalent, and that's stupid. Yeah. That's stupid.
Especially when you see popular people like give their opinions on, I don't need people in my life. All I need is me. All I need is my dog. All I need is my job, whatever the case may be. I don't need no woman. I don't need no man. Like those kind of things are really hard.
I do. I will admit it freely. I need my husband.
We need companionship. Like, much like, the mammals in this world. Like most of the mammals are group
herd.
They're group.
Yeah, like the tiger is solitary, but tigers are like tigers.
But the vast majority of the mammals like are like pack creatures,
right?
So to speak.
Well, and our bodies are literally hardwired for connection. Like if we don't physically touch another human being in over a year, like our bodies start to die.
Yeah.
Like we legit.
That's why SIDS is like such a big thing, because like
not SIDS.
What is
infant mortality?
Yeah,
like they need skin to skin contact, like that.
Scientifically proven.
People,
biology,
it's so real. But like, and that makes me sad for people who live by themselves and don't get the opportunity to touch and feel that, like, even every once in a while with a handshake, like, you know what I mean? It just. So take time to be with your people.
Yes. Be with
And it's
your
hard
people.
for people who don't like to be touched. Like, but that's why I have a husband. That's why I need him.
Be with good people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes when I actually do this when I play video games, because I know that can be a pain point for relationships and for men and even some women, but vastly majority of men who love to game. Sometimes they get hyperfixated and focused and they play too much, and it can be a damper on relationships. Speaking from experience.
Dude.
But one of the things that I've really gotten good at is to manage my time and to focus on the things that matter. So I'll even like set a timer. Like I really don't get on a game longer than like maybe an hour, maybe 2. And then I get up and I do something, whether I go start laundry, switch laundry, start working on podcast stuff, getting clips ready to upload or whatever the case may be. Cleaning.
I'm so lucky to have a man who does laundry.
Yes, you are.
I am. I will admit it, because honestly, I hate laundry. It feels like it ain't never done.
It's always a perpetuating thing that happens, because you wear clothes, they get dirty, you got to wash them, you got to fold them and put them away, and then slowly they get taken out over the week and put into the laundry.
See, this is why
it's a perpetuating motion.
Another reason why
cycle.
I want to live off the grid on my own property. I have like 3 outfits because I ain't worried about impressing anybody. And I work the land.
I hope you impress me a little bit.
Well, I'll have a few dresses that I bust out.
There we go.
Every once in a while when we go into town for supplies.
For supplies.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like I feel like our lives are overcomplicated. But guess who has the most clothes?
You.
Yeah, me. Guess who likes to look at clothes every time I go out to town?
Yeah. I
Stupid.
have like 2 or 3 feet worth of closet space. I have my own dresser, which is like half as big as yours. And
no, I feel like
fold
it's the
most of
same
mine and put it
size.
away.
It's just.
And you even have the bottom drawer of my dresser with most of your stuff in it.
That's my swimsuits.
And it's not a bad thing.
I know. I have too much crap.
There is a hyperfixation and focus on it.
I'm trying to fill a void in my life because I don't have any children. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. Like, honestly, like shopaholics, that's a real thing. People shop. Yeah.
So setting timers on your social media stuff is a good idea. Even like setting up time for your screen time, you can actually do that from your phone, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, but then I get into where I'm like, don't tell me what to do.
So,
I really don't like being told what to do.
You do have some defiance things going on. You're not a person that likes to be told, unless it's somebody you really care about what they say. Then you're like, oh, I'd love to do that.
I think everybody has that.
Didn't I just say we should try that out or do that?
Don't, because no, that's what you do to me all the time. I say it and then it's like, no, I don't want to do it. And then like JL will say it and you're like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
We all do that. It's a very human thing to do.
Yeah, but I feel like you did it a lot.
Yeah, because I think at the time, this was, a while back, but I think I was like craving for that kind of connection between men, and I just needed to be more connected to myself and my masculine.
I like you when you're masculine.
Yeah, I try to. I really do.
Yeah.
I think, especially with our relationship with social media and online entertainment, is that you literally have like a digital footprint now, and it follows you around. Oh, yeah. So if you've posted it and if you put it out into the internet ether, like people can download it and save it, and it's there forever.
Like, yeah,
like
man.
Even if you delete it, it's still in the archives. Like
people get canceled for stuff that they say.
Like, how many times has something come out like, oh, well, this person 8 years ago said something that's, a little bit racy and a little bit provocative, and so therefore they should no longer have a job. Didn't that happen to James Gunn?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
From one of the Marvel directors.
Yeah, it used to be just celebrities. Like, there was video evidence of celebrities, but nowadays it's like anybody.
Yeah.
And like, if you find your way into stardom or anything, and like, man,
they're going to try to bring up as much dirt as they possibly can.
I know. That's why we can't say anything stupid on the podcast. Oops, too late.
Oh, darn. We're human beings. What are we going to do? No, but it's true. Like, they'll find something that I even like, kind of when I was realizing like how much stuff was going to be saved on the internet, I actually went back and deleted a bunch of posts like on Facebook and stuff, because I didn't want people to be going back there. And I'm not like I said anything bad or anything, but I just didn't want that out there for people to be like, oh yeah, well, this person said this at this time, so he must still believe it. And it's like, we're not our thoughts and feelings. Like we're constantly like moving, like,
people
motion.
Grow and change.
They do.
And they have
grow and
evolution of
change.
thought. And so like, it's happened to people where they go back 10, 12 years and pull up something that somebody said. And it's like, yeah, but he's grown as a person.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
can they not change?
And
like,
even if he hasn't, he's still a person who's entitled to his own thoughts and beliefs.
Yeah.
Right. And that shouldn't impact his ability. Like,
his or her ability. Like, why should they lose their job because they said something stupid on the internet? It's like, are they a good employee? Or do they do a good job? Do they treat people with respect while you're there? Well, then why does it matter what they said on social media? And what's really interesting is that employers are now looking at your social media.
Oh, they've been doing that for a long time.
Ever since the birth of Facebook, they will go and look at your social media. They'll look at your Facebook. They will look at everything they could find and see if you're somebody who they would want on your team because of your thoughts and your feelings that you've, shared, or your, things that are going in family life and stuff like that. Like, it's ridiculous.
We did it when we were hiring at my other job.
There we go. I never did, but, a lot of people do.
Well, and part of the reason is because we have to, like, we worked at we had very strict privacy standards we had to uphold for funding and stuff. And so we just had to make sure that, anyway.
So how about how relationships can be affected when it comes to posting sexually provocative photos or videos of like yourselves or like past partners and stuff like that?
Seriously,
I think we should talk about that.
This is a big thing for me because it's like all these people that are like selling their body,
like OF and
OF, and like this goes for dudes and girls. Like, it's not just like, I know there's dudes on there that do their thing or whatever, but it's like, I don't know. Like, could you imagine the kids who have parents that are on there, and like if their schoolmates find the video of their mom or dad, it's like, I've seen your
That's
mom.
happened already. Like,
that just,
like, kids are getting on OF and they're finding their teachers have got some dirty like photos and videos out.
Shut up.
And they've signed up on
gosh.
their OF, and now they've lost their job because they were trying to hustle and make some money on the side.
Dude.
Yeah, like there's examples of it.
Like, I can't imagine. So that to me is a big deal. And then, like, I don't know. And the algorithms push it too. That's the other thing. Like, there's been a couple times when I've seen what's on your screen and I'm like, excuse me, what is this?
Yeah. Sometimes those pop up at the very most awkward time and you just happen to be looking, and I was scrolling and I paused a little bit longer on a very attractive woman on TikTok.
Oh yeah. I've seen the pause. I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
But then you've also caught me in some thirst traps on TikTok.
Yes, you have. How about that shirtless lumberjack?
Oh my gosh.
Here's one here. Special. This is from Fox News, but honestly, anything online, take it with a grain of salt. Special needs teacher fired after school district discovers own OF account denies egregious conduct.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, and she was asked to shut it down.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Those are some
very fake
very
bosoms.
well-supported bosoms.
Well-supported bosoms. McDonald said she didn't know how the school discovered her account, but she heard rumors of a student had complained about one of the Ava James TikTok videos, supposedly complaining that Ava James only wears bikinis in her TikToks.
So it was probably a girl.
Yeah, it's a woman.
Maybe.
She's 43 from British Columbia,
maybe
Canada.
a girl or never mind.
Yeah, she's a teacher's assistant in British Columbia.
Well, it's not like teachers' assistants' jobs pay that much. They pay crap.
But she's not the only one that this has happened to. There has been tens of examples.
I've seen a YouTube video of a guy who was like,
yeah,
what do you do with your kids while you do your OnlyFans live stream? And she's like, oh, I just send them outside and I lock the door. And like, I'm like, what? Okay.
So these women of kids. Now, again, we're just giving the information and talking about it. I'm not going to judge someone of how they make their money and take care of their family and kids, but it is questionable. When you're sending your kids, all right, guys, I'm going to go do my webcam. So sending your kids and locking your door and then doing that in the next room.
Who's to say your kids aren't going to stumble upon that and see that
in the future?
Yeah. And I don't know if I want to live in a world where that's okay.
How about
when I say live in a world, meaning I don't want to participate in a society where that's okay, I guess is my
right.
That is, I struggle with that because that's like
I do too. Like I can imagine.
How is that not grooming children to be?
Let's pose an example. I'm sure this has happened, but let's say Reanne, you had an OF back when you were in your early 20s and you did it for 4 or 5 years just to make money so you could pay your way through college, whatever excuse and like whatever you decided to do with it. But when we were dating, I found out that you had that and it was still active and you were still selling photos and videos. Now, how am I supposed to feel about that? If my significant other is having those videos and pictures of other dudes, pining after you and DMing you and, you're making money, like, sending your nudes and stuff like that. Like, how would that make me feel as your partner?
I don't think you would have married me.
I wouldn't have. Like, to me, like a high value woman, a wife, is someone that doesn't participate in that kind of stuff.
Well, and let's talk about it because.
And each to their own. Like, some people are totally okay with it and they have.
Which is fine. And that's not a judgment call. Like, we're not saying.
We're talking about for us. Like, we do have some of those traditional values when it comes to those kinds of things. And it's very important to us.
Yeah.
Each to their own. If they want to have, your wife or your husband, or maybe you do it together and you have your own webcam together, you do you.
Now that's intriguing. No, I'm just
kidding.
You do you. I'm kidding. No.
We'll call our account The Big and the Beautiful. We'll only send toe pics. There's a long pause here because I'm actually considering like what would I be okay with? Because either way, though, the men and women who have those kinds of kinks and fetishes, like they are looking at those in a very sexual way
to be sexually gratified.
They're being sexualized and gratifying for them. But
I'm not.
But people are doing that just watching regular TikToks of people talking. So it's like, there's men slipping into my wife's DMs and asking them to degrade them for hundreds of dollars a month.
Well,
so
should I read the last DM I just got?
If you want.
It's kind of interesting.
I mean, it is interesting. It's also kind of sad, but like men aren't getting what they need from regular relationships, and so they're seeking strangers to pay them money to do these kinds of things. It's very strange.
Okay, but this guy wanted me to be a sugar baby. Says, hey, beautiful, I'm looking for an honest sugar baby to spoil with $7,000 as her weekly allowance for exchange of advice and attention. I also help broke college students and single moms. Are you willing to be one? Heart emoji.
7,000 a month?
A week.
A week? How much attention does this guy need to get that?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm like 7,000 a week, babe.
What are the particulars? Have you drawn up a contract? Send me a non-binding agreement.
Are you saying you want me to explore this a little? I'm just kidding.
Honestly, it would be interesting content for the channel.
Oh, I'm sure it's a scammer.
Probably.
I'm sure.
Who knows?
Anyway,
Who knows?
I don't know.
But we're traditional in that way. Like we save ourselves for each other. Like that's something that we do. That's something that we have our intimacy, both physical and sexual. Like we save that for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like
it's all good.
Yeah. And that's what works for us.
People, here's the thing.
Happy.
Girls may not plan on ever having kids. I don't know. It's fine. I'm not judging. It's just I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of me wonders, because the energy of sex is very entwined with the energy of the expression of love. Like that's kind of what it was designed.
Yeah, and I think society has sadly bastardized it
and polluted it and everything. And so, but even with that connection to the soul, that deep connection to the soul that act has, I feel like when it's done so casually, it chips away.
Yeah.
It chips away
when
a little bit.
It no longer has meaning.
Yeah. And I feel like that. So that's what concerns me a little bit when it comes to that, especially I know for women. It
for sexual intimacy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's tied to that. And, when we talk about, when you look at the porn industry, how many of the women who are actually part of the porn industry didn't have some sort of sexual trauma in their childhood?
Yep. I
mean, and it's become a coping mechanism.
Same thing for individuals who gravitate to same-sex attraction and transgenderism. A lot of
there's
them
a lot of trauma.
Have that kind of trauma, unfortunately.
Anyway, that's why I'm the OnlyFans thing I worry about.
Yeah, I do, especially with society and putting yourselves out there.
Yeah,
it's
Well, and it's very predatory.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing with social media. Predatory behavior is rampant, especially on some specific Snapchat and stuff. The predatory behavior on that.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
It's scary. I don't like it. I don't even have Snapchat on my phone.
Yeah,
that's one that I will not get into
because it has the opportunity to share your location. And you could send
disappears
pictures and text messages, which delete itself.
Once it's been read and opened, it deletes. And so, so much can happen. It just makes me nervous.
We're very nervous for children growing up in the digital age and the relationship that they have with their phones and with these different websites. Even Omegle is a pretty big...
Oh, Omegle. That's extremely... Yeah. Oh, that scares me.
You just flip to the next person, all of a sudden there's twig and berries and a hand held.
Oh, geez.
And held in hand. And you're just there's kids that get on this. Children.
Yeah, they know. That's why some of them are on there. Anyway.
And it's because they want that. Because they have a bad relationship with, their sexuality. They have a bad relationship with their humanity, with their masculinity or their femininity. There is a disconnect with that. And unfortunately, in the digital age, we are getting away from those things. And it's continually driving us away from understanding ourselves as human beings. That's why I struggle with the whole idea of us becoming cyborgs and us being connected to the internet.
Neuralink.
Neuralink.
And, that's scary.
I mean, and it's not because I'm some kind of
Luddite. You're not a Luddite.
What's a Luddite?
Somebody who doesn't like technology.
No, I love technology.
I know, that's
as
why I'm saying.
tools, they are absolutely incredible and amazing. They can do wonderful things, but they can also destroy, just like a hammer. A hammer can build or it can destroy. That's
It
why
can kill.
it was such a great symbol for Thor's power in this particular
Theology.
weapon and tool, and like, you know, Norse mythology and stuff like that. We could go down another rabbit hole, but yeah, the relationship with those kinds of things is just it's staggering.
What's interesting is I think for our generation, we're the last generation to grow up without a ton of
Technology in our childhood. Yeah.
Yeah, like screens all the time. And so it's like we know kind of how to keep ourselves entertained. We had the opportunity to learn how we can entertain ourselves and use our imagination and all that stuff. Like, and I worry sometimes with like kids that are being born in like this social media, like,
yeah,
are they going to be able to do that? Like, are they going to be able to function without technology at all? Like, can they? I don't know. Like,
I mean, look at the development of children, you know, being home and like learning in front of a computer, having a mask on their face for a long period of time. Like that 2-week curve thing turned into a 2-year.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids that like their social development was delayed. Their reading, their speaking development, their speech development was delayed.
Yep.
Because we learn how to make sounds and words by hearing, but also by seeing how
the shape of the mouth,
how to make it with the shape of the mouth and everything. So
eyebrows and
yeah, it's really interesting. So, I think. What are we at? Where are we?
I think we're just summarizing. We're kind of at the end here.
I don't know. I think having social media can be awesome. It can be good as long as you maintain a healthy relationship with it. Be careful.
Be aware.
Be aware. You know, like, be like Jacob.
Be informed.
Use it only for work purposes.
Do your research.
Oh yeah.
That's something we don't do anymore. Like,
just make it a point to be discerning, right? Be discerning.
Read the whole article.
Yeah. I don't know. Life is good. Also, parents, watch out for your kiddos on social media. Like, it's just, yes, it can be fun and awesome, but please don't let your kids have access to social media and make them grow up faster than they need to. Like, seriously, you're an adult much longer than you're a child in this lifetime, and kids deserve to have a childhood.
They deserve to have innocence.
Yes. Yes.
They really do.
And social media will take that away in an instant.
Oh, for sure.
So, well, technology
one
can.
One image, one video.
Yeah.
One text.
So, anyway, but from our house to yours, have a good night.
Good night, everybody.